Hello everyone and welcome back to ABG's Investor Days. My name is Carl Bokvist and I'm an equity analyst at ABG and among other companies I am responsible for covering CTT systems. With us today we have CEO Henrik Höjer and CFO Marcus Berg, and they will start with a presentation followed by some Q&A afterwards. Henrik, thank you for joining us now, and please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Carl, and thanks for coming and listening to the CTT Systems presentation. Next slide, please. Most of you know that CTT is the leader in active moisture control on civil aircraft. An aircraft flying around with extra weight in the form of water leads to higher fuel consumption and with that unnecessary CO2 emissions. In the fact that the cabin air is very dry, and actually drier than anywhere on the earth, is affecting the well-being of passengers and crew. We are the only company that has product that solve the root cause of this problem, both the dry and the wet problem on board. And CTT is the sole supplier to Airbus and Boeing of humidification systems, and the only vendor that has aircraft dehumidifiers. Humidifier is a de facto standard in flight deck on long-haul aircraft, and it's migrating into the passenger cabin as well. On dehumidifiers, we have a large installed base on mainly roughly 1,000 Boeing 787s, but we're not increasing the population, and we must enter into the narrow body market, and I will come back to that later. We have today our systems in more than 50 airlines worldwide. I thought I'll do some quick financial numbers before I look into the future. So if I look at the rolling 4 quarters, the net sales increased with 17%, reaching 312 million, mostly driven by the aftermarket and also increasing OEM sales. Our EBIT increased 28% to 128 million, and our earnings per share increased with 36%. If I'm looking at the short-term forecast, the second quarter we forecast a sales range of 85 to 90 million Swedish crowns, and that is a year-on-year increase with 8 to 14%. Sales will be driven by our repair and spares business. OEM sales are expected to be on the same level. In private jet, we expect another quite weak quarter. Underlying growth trends remain intact for OEM and aftermarket, but we always see variations quarter to quarter. With this forecast, we will reach 319 to 324 million on a rolling 12 months, and that's compared to a pre-pandemic high of 365. I will now go through our business outlook for each of our markets. I'm starting with the aftermarket. First quarter aftermarket sales decreased, and that was due to a late component deliveries from one of our suppliers. This disruption we have solved, and we have now resumed deliveries. So looking at rolling 4 quarters, we are currently at the run rate of 253 million. Going forward, sales of spares and consumables will no longer benefit from the pent-up demand after the pandemic. As a consequence, aftermarket growth will be lower than in 24 than it was in 23 when we had a 30% increase. If I then look at system sales, in 2024, this will be the primary growth driver for us, and we will benefit from several strong trends. Aftermarket has recovered and passed pre-pandemic levels, but revenues from system deliveries, which is OEM, retrofit, and private jet, only accounted to 54 million last year, compared with 191 in 2019. So we have a 137 million gap. If I then go to anti-condensation business, which is actually struggling with no orders presently, we have a clear strategy, and I'm convinced that this will lead to results. The key enabler is that we have OEM availability. This can only be accomplished via the support from retrofit customers that are large buyers of new aircraft. As part of our effort, we have ongoing trials on A321 with a major low-cost carrier, Another track involves our largest customers, which is Jet2 and Transavia. Both are transitioning from an all Boeing 737 fleet to A320s, and they're used to having our anti-condensation as a buyer-furnished equipment installed by Boeing before delivery. This is yet not possible with Airbus, and of course that is something that we need to fix in the future. So the first possibility with these customers is when they do C-check at these aircraft. So we will parallel with that, together with them and other customers, approach Airbus and make them agree that it should be possible to install our green tech system in new aircraft before delivery. And we remain convinced that line fitting our anti-condensation system is aligned with and part of the sustainability efforts of the aviation industry. If I then look at the growth drivers that are in place, they can be divided into a few categories. One, there's more aircraft produced with CTT products as catalog options, as Airbus and Boeing are doubling their production rates of A350s and 787s and ramping up the 777X production. Two, more CTT products per aircraft. We should have a higher shipset value with better penetration on especially A350. And also new content in the future on 787 when we have succeeded to convince Boeing that they should add cabin humidification. Three, the retrofit market. When airlines do harmonization of the cabin experience, this should come into play. And then 4, new OEM platforms with CTT products available in the future, such as the Airbus A321 XLR and the Comac C929. In addition, not on this slide, we are addressing a new market in the large cabin business jet. OEM will again be the main driver. We foresee a significantly higher OEM deliveries in 24 and onwards. The demand for OEM humidifiers is growing, fueled by wide-body aircraft production ramp-up that started in 23 and is continuing in 24 and onwards. The main driver for us will be from the 787 program, currently at the build rate of 5 aircraft per month, targeting to reach 10 in 26. Airbus is at a build rate of 5 to 6 aircraft per month, and they are targeting 10 in 26, and then in 28 they will go to 12 on the back of a very strong demand. In addition, we will benefit from the Boeing 777X program, where the first delivery is scheduled in late 2025. CTT expect to resume our deliveries to Boeing for this program in the 24-25 timeframe. On top of that, we anticipate that we will grow more than the production rate increase due to increased penetration. Order long-haul aircraft in 23 was the highest in over 15 years, and the order backlog for A350 and 787 equals totally to the deliveries so far of these platforms. Airbus and Boeing now have 1,900 aircraft in the order books of the for CTT so important A350, 787 and 777X program. To summarize, the OEM business will be a resilient driver that will continue to grow for years, driven by the wide-body order backlog. Today, we have 3 airlines that have humidification of business class on their A350s. An important part of our growth strategy is to convince airlines not only to have a healthier climate for pilot and crew, but also to offer humidification for the premium cabin passengers. Airbus announced in October that another airline has chosen humidifiers for its A350s. This airline has specified 3 humidifiers for their premium cabin zones, as well as cockpit and crew rest modules. We have now 2 undisclosed airlines that have selected humidifiers for their premium cabin on their A350s with first deliveries in 2025. Boeing aims to certify the 777X in the second half of 25, and so far 2 airlines have selected cabin humidification for the 777X. The fact that we're adding new airlines that operate aircraft with cabin humidifier on board, and the fact that additional airlines have specified new aircraft with entry into service in 25 creates some favorable dynamics. This will lead to opportunities to retrofit the cabin humidification system. As an airline want to harmonize their cabin experience for all the passengers all over the different aircraft types, and also competition between the airlines is driving this demand. Even if it's hard to predict lead times, we're in 24, we're close to 25, 26 when these aircraft come out. And if they want to do cabin projects, it should start soon to align the fleets. I then move over to private jet. And the private jet market has its own cyclical behavior with low correlation to normal economical cycles. Our private jet business reported as expected another weak quarter with low sales, and the near-term outlook is quite weak. But we have only one project in our order book. But the project pipeline is very healthy. And in fact, if I'm looking back in history, all the quotations that we are out to ACJ and BBJ systems, they amount to total a very high level. When we will receive these orders will be a function of, among other things, but also the VIP aircraft availabilities. We're well positioned, and we will win orders when the market picks up again. Our lead time to delivery of the kit systems is 2 to 3 months, and if we do a wide-body VIP project, the lead time is a little bit longer. If looking at the private jet numbers, trailing 12-month sales have been ranging from 10 to 30 million, and is currently at 14. We expect activities to pick up with more opportunities to reach closure in the second half of 2024. Our cooperation with Airbus Corporate Jet continues to be very successful. Last year, ACJ delivered 100% of their aircraft with our humidification system installed. They continue to actively promote our system as part of the standard for the ACJ 320 and the 220. We are also in discussions with ACJ to expand this concept to additional aircraft models. As an example, I brought this slide which is showing how ACJ markets our humidification system in their catalog for the ACJ 320 Neo. Private jet is perhaps the largest opportunity. The addressed market is approximately 30 million per year. We thought we fixed this picture, but apparently not. But CTT sales will be binary. Without the OEMs, CTT will not scale this segment. Airbus Corporate Jet leads the way by promoting our humidification system as part of the green aircraft. This business model is well received by the market and customers. It's a de facto standard on the ACJ's comfort package for long range. Our growth strategy in private jet aims to convince other manufacturers to follow. As you can see on this picture, which is hopefully coming back, we target Boeing business jets, Bombardier Global 7500, Dassault Falcons, and Gulfstream G700 and 800. We must convince these OEMs to endorse and include our system. I'm actually cautiously optimistic that we can close with additional manufacturers this year. And then we can stay on the next slide. So if I'm summarizing this, we're in the beginning of a multi-year growth period. Our business environment is strong and continues to improve as airlines' demand for long-haul capacity increases wide-body aircraft build-up rates and spurs cabin upgrades. We will shift growth driver from aftermarket to system sales, power the higher OEM deliveries and increase penetration rates. The ramp-up of wide-body build rates will be gradual and target 26, 100% increase from current level of A350s and 787s. Under some strong conditions, I expect that we shall close airline awards more frequently. Private jet is our biggest opportunity, but it's binary. Airbus Corporate Jet leads the way by promoting our system, and we will convince other manufacturers to follow. So thanks for listening, and then I'll hand it back to you, Carl, for some questions. And I think we'll invite our CFO, Marcus, up here as well to help me with questions.
Thank you, Henrik. If I may start with just something on what's happening in the very short term. I believe we addressed this during the last conference call, but we all read about what's going on at Boeing or within Boeing. Have you noticed anything on your programs from the quality issues and legal processes that they are currently having?
No, it's of course the whole business is affected by Boeing, and it's very important that Boeing comes back to a normal state where they are a reliable supplier of aircraft, and of course all the airlines are quite upset with having delays on the deliveries because they really need those aircraft. And I think part of that is what we're seeing. It's extremely hard for us, as I said, we want to come into the OEM market on narrow body. But as long as Boeing has problems with the MAX, I mean, we don't even bother. There is no idea talking with them on that topic. 787, which is the important program for CTT, has been so far untouched. There's been some rumors and some articles about it, but as far as we can see, they have managed to handle that in a good way. And they are ramping up production to handle the big order books. And they have been quite consistent now the last, I would say, 2 years on reaching the 10 per month in 2026. Then if we have effects in the ramp-up process, that could be, but let's see what happens, and Boeing is quite firm on that one.
Mm. And then you mentioned growth opportunities, and that one of them would or could be the cabin humidification on the Boeing 787. And forgive the pun, but in a blue sky scenario, how quickly could we see this business?
But I mean, we're in a business where nothing goes fast, and predicting times are always super difficult. And I think for Boeing, I mean, they really need to stabilize everything and reach these 10 aircraft per month. So before that, nothing will come into the new aircraft. But maybe we could start a project like that earlier and be ready somewhere around that time frame or a little bit further down. I think actually it would be easier to come into the retrofit market and start retrofitting the more than 1,000 Boeing 787 that are out there. A project that could go a lot faster. But it still takes some time.
I understand. And then some questions to you, Marcus. As Henrik showed earlier, this is a company that now has benefited for some years with this profitable aftermarket mix. You're having margins well above 30%, and you have flagged that when system sales grow, we should keep that in mind. But can we say anything about the fact that the system business has pretty low volume? So I would guess that when you grow now, that will be positive for profitability within that segment at least. And how will you think about margins for the company? I know you don't have a target, but can you shed some light on it?
Yes, I agree. Yeah, as you say, we don't have a target, but as you say, the volume effect will probably balance out the effect that the mix will change from a large share of aftermarket. I mean, today we have about 80% of our sales are in the aftermarket, and it will shift towards more system sales. But I think that the volume effect over time will balance that, so the margin can stay at a high level.
And then also when we think about investments, this is you already now have a net cash balance sheet. You don't really have that much assets that you use to run the business and so on, and you paid out an extra dividend last year. So when you look at investments in the future, be it personnel, cash flow investments in factories and so on, and also the dividend policy, do you have any larger investment plans up ahead, or will it be more about, just growing with more people, sales and marketing, and then investors can get the rest?
We will for sure grow when we look at our personnel. We will, of course, look at working with automatization to do more efficient work for sure. But still, if you look at investments, we will continue to invest in product development, maybe a little bit higher level than today. But if you look a couple of years ahead, we need to, when the volumes go up, we need to invest in our facilities as well. So we are planning right now an expansion project in our site in Nybro outside of Kalmar, and that will be a little bit bigger investment, maybe 20 to 30 million Swedish crowns.
But still, then you've had larger investments in the past, but I guess this would not affect the overall profitability and asset lightness, and the fact that you will still pay out. I think your target is 70% of net profit.
Correct. Yeah.
Then going back to you, Henrik, the A350 program, and it was maybe, I believe one customer you have disclosed was the Indigo customer. The latest one that you said here that selected 5 out of 6 humidifiers. What was the rationale? Was this a customer you've had before on some other program, or the reason why they actually chose such a high penetration?
It's new customers, but I think it's actually we're hitting a good spot in time now when this topic comes up, and many years of very hard work to spreading this message on the back of really getting this as some kind of standard in the cockpit and crew rest, having very good reliability, very good reputation of the system. The airline's now there to look at it for their premium passengers, and I mean, we've been working hard over many years to convince them that this is something that really will give you a competitive edge towards your competitors. And I think competition is for long haul is increasing. I think airlines look at this as, okay, we can do one more step, something that nobody else has, and this is happening now. And I think that's what convinces them to do it, and we can really add something that gives the passenger better wellness, better sleep, the food tastes better, the drinks taste better, and I think this is an appealing message.
And then I believe what you've said is that for the 777X program, you do get sales before they actually launch the aircraft, so to say. So can you just remind us that if their timeline holds, when could we start to see sales for you?
So I mean, for us it was a huge milestone last year when we got the serial production approval from Boeing. It's called Black Label. Then all the development work is done, and you're allowed to deliver production units. And we delivered quite a lot of production units, and I think you even can see that in our numbers for Q1 23 and Q2 23. And then of course they have the delay of the aircraft, but they've been now firm for the last 2 years on 25 certification. So if that holds, and they see that holds with FAA, my prediction is that maybe late this year or more likely Q1 we can resume deliveries to the 777X.
And with that, we're approaching the time limit here. So I would say thank you to both of you for coming here, and best of luck in the future.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.